Big match John Cena might be the never seen 17-time world champion, but he'll never be seen on the Undertaker's Mount Rushmore as Taker can't see him. Taker has left him off the top four biggest stars in professional wrestling. Welcome back, guys, to the channel. John Cena, major shock, not on Undertaker's Mount Rushmore, and neither is The Rock, the great one, not great enough to be on Taker's WWE Mount Rushmore. So the dead man has revealed who he believes are the four most important people in WWE, or should I say wrestling history, although I think if you're talking wrestling, you just automatically assume WWE. But yeah, the dead man Undertaker recently came out and he named his top four guys. Some people are shocked that Cena's not on it. Some people are shocked that Rock's not on it. I mean, at the end of the day, kind of depends where you're coming from. It can be a subjective Mount Rushmore if you're basing it on your personal preferences, but I mean, if you're basing it on impact to the business, then I think it becomes less subjective. I think if you're basing it on like star power, importance, then it kind of does pick itself, I believe. But of course, if you're basing it on your personal preference and who you like, then you can have anybody on it. Like, I know a lot of people have Eddie Guerrero on theirs, and he's a fine pick. You know, Eddie Guerrero was a great wrestler, good promo guy, you know, one of the best smaller guys to come in and win a world title back when smaller guys didn't really win world titles. So I've no issue with Eddie Guerrero being on a Mount Rushmore, but if you're talking about impact on the business and like changing the game and being a massive draw, then you can't have someone like Eddie Guerrero on the Mount Rushmore. It just depends on how you're basing it. But this is what Undertaker said on the latest episode of the Nightcap podcast when he was asked about his personal Mount Rushmore. So by personal, I believe he's going with his own favourite four rather than the four that he believes is most, I don't know, having the most impact on the business. But here we go. That's what Taker said. He said, quote, "So again, I go back to who were the most, I guess, instrumental in the history of wrestling. And I put Andre the Giant on there, Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, and fourth, Ric Flair. I think those guys are synonymous with the history of our industry. Now there's been guys that are better talkers. There are guys that have been better wrestlers. For guys that had impact, those are my four." End of quote. So it's supposed to be Taker's personal, but it seems like he's went with a Mount Rushmore that has had the four guys with the most impact on the business, and he's listed Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, and Ric Flair. It's not a bad Mount Rushmore. I think it's absolutely fine. To me, Hogan and Austin have to be on it. I would say that Flair and Andre the Giant, you could put them on, you could take them off. Taker's decided to put them in there, and that's absolutely fine. That's his four guys. If you're basing it off impact, then yeah, Andre the Giant did have a huge impact. Obviously, his match with Hogan, WrestleMania 3, the Slam, the amount of views that the guy got as well, like 33 million views watching Hogan versus Andre. So I can totally see why Andre's on it. Plus, you know, Andre was like the first giant in wrestling, and I think Taker being a big man, he probably, you know, does have maybe a little bit of bias. Maybe he looks at Andre more fondly than he would like a, let's say, a Rey Mysterio, because he can maybe relate to Andre the Giant more. I think that would be fair to say. So he's put Andre the Giant on there. Hulk Hogan, rest in peace. Recently passed away, lost the Hulkster this year. What can you say about Hulk Hogan? Biggest star in wrestling history. I think it can't really be denied. The only guy that would come close would be probably Stone Cold, but he had an amazing period over a few years, whereas Hulk Hogan kind of dominated decades. So yeah, but Hogan on it, Austin on it. I mean, Austin and Taker, I think people forget how many matches those guys had, especially in the Attitude Era. Austin and Taker were massive rivals and, you know, put on a lot of great matches. So, yeah, I think Austin was good for Taker's career. Taker was good for Austin's career. I'm not surprised that Taker's put Stone Cold on his Mount Rushmore. And the final one is Ric Flair. So, Taker going with Flair, I mean, again, 16-time world champion, the limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, all that stuff in there. Ric Flair, great promo guy. Was probably the standout guy from his era in terms of having charisma, in terms of stealing the show, in terms of putting on good matches. So, yeah, no, I can understand why Ric Flair is on it. What I thought was, what I did find noticeable was all of Taker's Mount Rushmore were guys that were from the 90s or earlier. So, I mean, that just, it does go to show you that wrestling has went downhill, and I think this is absolute proof. Like we say, wrestling hasn't been good in like 15 years or whatnot, but Taker had the chance to put guys on this Mount Rushmore from the last 25 years, guys that have debuted in the last 25 years, and he hasn't done that. He's put on, 3 guys that were from the 80s, and a guy that was, the lead of the leading star in the rise of the Attitude Era. So that's the 4 people that Taker's put on his list here. He hasn't put anybody he hasn't put anybody that debuted in the Attitude Era. He hasn't put anybody that came in from the Ruthless Aggression era onwards. So, yeah, no Cena here, no Brock here. We hear about how Roman Reigns is, Paul Heyman says he's the greatest of all time. Well, Undertaker doesn't seem to think so because he's not put him on his list. So, yeah, I mean, I think this should speak volumes. And I know people will say, it's just one man's list, but nah, it's Taker. I think Taker's a guy that we can hold his opinion, pretty high up in the wrestling bubble. It's the Undertaker, for God's sake. So, I think his Mount Rushmore, I think his stance on the business means quite a bit, and he's picked these 4. So, yeah, the fact that he's not put anybody in the last 25 years in his top 4, that tells me that, it tells you what you need to know, and that is that wrestling has declined, and it's not as good as it used to be. Anyway, I don't think there's anybody that would put like a Roman Reigns or a Cody Rhodes on their Mount Rushmore unless it is somebody that is still wrestling today and they're doing it purely just to kiss ass and try and gaslight and try and pretend that the promotion is better than it's ever been. Like a Paul Heyman, that fucking fraud, he will say that Roman Reigns is the greatest of all time. He'll put Roman Reigns on a Mount Rushmore. And, even like a Triple H, I wouldn't be surprised if Triple H puts Cody Rhodes on his Mount Rushmore. But in reality, man, these guys are getting nowhere near the top 10, top 25. I wouldn't even have... Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns are not even in my top 50. Nowhere near my top 50. So, there's not a chance I'd put them on my Mount Rushmore. But, yeah, anyway, guys, there you go. Taker, just thought we'd talk about Taker. And also, John Cena says he doesn't like pineapple on his pizza. For anybody who cares about Big Match John, he says, quote, "Me personally, would I ever order a pizza with pineapple? My answer is no, but gosh, the freedom to create your own pizza, that I can't take away from someone. If they want to put pineapple on their pizza, that's okay. I just probably won't steal a slice." End of quote. So, the breaking news here is, if you're having pizza and John Cena's around and you don't want him stealing half your pizza, then just get it full of pineapple and he will avoid it. But there you go, guys. Taker's Mount Rushmore. If we had a Mount Rushmore of pizza ingredients, I wonder how many people would put pineapple on their top 4. That's interesting. Maybe we should do that, but that's going to do it, guys. Very sore throat today, so probably talking too much shite. But yeah, just going to end it here. Taker's Mount Rushmore. There you go. Till next time. Peace.